Welcome to the AI Chronicles Season 2, Episode 2. Today, we delve into how two of the world's largest companies are handling artificial intelligence. We start by discussing Bob Iger's recent comments on how he thinks Walt Disney would feel about AI. Next, we discuss Apple's approach to using AI. We'll also visit the topic of Elon Musk's recent threat to ban Apple from Tesla's automobiles. We found the internet's most viral AI image. Have you seen it? Finally, we'll cover some news about quantum time travel. Have we finally unlocked the door to travel through time? Run for it, Marty! And now, say hello to my two favorite humans, Jay and Keith. Take it away, humans.
Jay, what's happening?
Not much, man. I love Alan. He's great.
So, is it endearing that he can't, it's that pronunciation thing that he can't quite get right from a machine?
Yeah, it's definitely the inflection is not there, man, right? So
the AI image.
Right.
Bob Iger.
And take it away, Keith and Jay. So, By the way, the one thing that AI cannot help us with here today is the video lag to audio.
It's only me, though.
Yeah, it is. It's
you. Always me.
It is. It really usually is. So, but man, I kind of love this podcast a lot because we use exclusively AI, and it takes a lot of our work out of it.
So, Jay, for those of you just joining, catching, finding, whatever, this podcast, what's this thing about, man?
Artificial intelligence, dude.
So we put together a little, this is not our only podcast, but we felt like there's so much to talk about in AI, and we're learning as we go, both of us, that, Now, if we could just get the machine learning to fix it's like watching a Bruce Lee movie, right?
Isn't it funny, though, dude? Yeah, I know. It's like you still have, even with all of the technology and advanced technology we now have versus when we just started this thing back in 2018, not this particular podcast, but our other one, we still have the glitches going, man. It's interesting, and I think that's inevitable with technology, and because a lot of it's just all this integration stuff that goes on with what we're with and how we do this, right? It's that, so there's always going to be some language that just doesn't work with the other, right?
Right.
And that how it kind of works?
Yeah.
And you heard Alan in the intro talk. We're going to talk a little bit about.
By the
Apple's.
way, that's all. I think I know how to fix the lag. I'll get to that in a minute. But Alan, as we call him, that's all machine learning. We basically plug in topics for the show. We let automation. That's a fake voice. It's not a real person. And then we take that and put it into a character, like, I don't know, an animatronic type, not animatronic, but, a cartoon. Yeah. It listens to the audio and does his whole voiceover. The thing that it can't quite figure out is when the music's playing, he still moves his mouth because he thinks that's like words.
Right. Well, you think about this, right? What would Walt Disney do?
He would do a better job than this, I'm pretty sure. In fact, let me see if I can fix this whole camera thing.
Yeah, go ahead, man. And
what would Walt Disney do, Jay?
What would Walt Disney do? Look, man, this whole AI thing, it's very impressive with the fact that we have now, especially, and we'll get deeper into this, as Alan said in the beginning, Apple AI, the new iOS that Apple has come out with for multiple devices. It still blows my mind that the software can do what it does, just as it is.
Automatopoeia.
By
the way, you guys, if you're not watching this, you're missing out. I had camera problems. They're better, right, Jay?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
You're a lot better. Yeah.
So it's not perfect, but you can watch this video over on our YouTube channel. It's a video podcast, and that's youtube.com/Parts Counter Gurus.
That's right. The other thing I wanted to add to that is that some of the information that we are discussing today on this podcast, if you will go to the Counter Show, which is our automotive centric camping, off-roading, whatever, e-mobility, our alternate. Ooh, look at that! It's so cool, dude. See?
ADD moment. Sorry, automotive camping. We'll get back to that.
Yeah. Anyway,
the Counter Show.
The Counter Show. So if you
I'll
go,
be easily distracted.
I know, but we talked about some things that are actually related to what we're talking about today, having to deal specifically with Elon and his shenanigans.
Oh yeah,
So,
we promised a follow up over on this show, which we are going to get to. Before we get to that, so this is a, if you guys leave a comment, I'll tell you how I did it.
oh, is that the new shape-shifting Stanley Cup?
Yeah. Oh, good. Well played, Jay. We're working on a partnership with Stanley. So Bob Iger, or Bob Iger, as Alan referred to him, made some public comments lately, and he was. This is during a speak that he was giving with Jay, are you familiar with Canva?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
I've used it. It's essentially a.
I don't use it, but I know what it is. Yes.
If you've ever used PowerPoint, or Google has one, Google Slides, I think it is, but slide deck presentation. So Canva is a web-based alternative to those, and they do use a little bit of AI in there. So Bob Iger is an investor in Canva.
Yes.
And that's, he was speaking, and the concept, or the topic of AI came up with Disney, because Bob, for those of you that don't know, is back at the helm of Disney.
Yes.
After retiring, and he said, I think Walt would be a fan of it, and Walt Disney was definitely into future technology, no question, right?
Oh, I mean, he invented so much with the ability to create the cartoons, the anime.
Yeah.
He developed. There was a specific camera that he used.
The world of tomorrow. Disney has,
Epcot.
Epcot was literally in the name, experimental prototype community of tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think the question is, how would Walt Disney use it? Or as you put it, what would Walt Disney do?
Right. What would Walt Disney do?
And, yeah, go ahead.
I hate this, and we should have asked him on for this, and maybe we'll get our good friend who is an actor, and that would be Marlon Young.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Marlon had many roles and still has many roles on Netflix. He was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He was part of the Entourage.
Entourage.
He was Rufus in Entourage. He was a recurring character there. So anyway, but he would be a good person to ask. Because obviously with the big strike recently because of AI.
Yeah. Well, and Bobby got himself in a little bit of trouble because the Disney folks felt like they may lose their jobs over AI taking their place, right?
And some of them may. I can't say for sure, Keith. I mean, neither can you, and neither can they. But I do believe that if Walt Disney were alive, that he would embrace this, and obviously put some guardrails in place.
That's the one I want. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's no dummy. It takes people to create. And AI, as we get into this a little bit further, because AI is not immune to plagiarism, right?
Oh no,
absolutely. I mean,
Adobe
that's how
has started putting hidden this is the best way I can explain it. In a camera image, a digital camera image. Now you can take that on your phone. You could take that on like a digital SLR, DSLR. There is a file that is included in every picture. Did you know this, Jay?
Don't know that I did, man. Is it something is it an embedded?
Well, yeah, it's embedded in the image, And
Yeah,
it
okay.
has the camera model that was used, GPS location of the image if you turn that on, which most people by default have it turned on. That's why
On
you
the
can go look
phone.
at like your Apple photos and see.
Yeah.
Well, no, my SLR has GPS in
It
it.
has it as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. And my GoPro does too, I guess. Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a file, right? And forensic guys like that do like any kind of crime scene investigation. A lot of times they'll look at that data. So Adobe has started doing something similar with any artificially created, whether it's an image or a movie or a soundbite. They're putting tags in that file that basically say it's artificially created.
Interesting. Yeah, yeah. And we'll get into that a little bit. We got a
So-
story here. We'll be talking
So
about.
so now would Walt Disney be? How would he be using it? And I sort of feel like he would probably be a little bit more in favor of kind of the way Apple is approaching it, which is it's not a do my job for me. It's kind of like what you said. It's a let's see how we can make this better and more future tech.
Exactly. Yeah, I just feel
Right.
that that's the way he would approach
Yeah.
that. I mean, look. If anybody had a vision on how we were going to be in this day and time, it was Walt Disney. I mean, this is why he created such attractions as It's a Small World. And the reason why I say
Progress, right?
Carousel of Progress, that's absolutely correct. And, let's take a look and go back to the late 80s and mid 80s, when we started seeing internet and email and all of a sudden you're connecting with people globally. And yeah, that's when the perspective really hits you. It's like, yeah, it is a small world, man. And then you take it for granted today that I can just reach out to my buddy down in Brazil on WhatsApp, just chat him, just text him, whatever I want to do.
Yep.
And, 30 years ago, we couldn't do that.
Yeah, man.
I mean-
What, that dang old internet, man. You just go on there and point and click, get in there, talk about www.com, and you got them naked chicks on there, man. You go click, 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 click. It's real easy, man.
It just never gets old.
That's BI, Boomhauer Intelligence.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, that's our B version, BI,
I mean-
not AI.
Songs have been written about this, but like my dad, a lot of people's granddads, World War II, writing letters from their base to send home to their wives or sweethearts. And, like you're getting mail from the Philippines, in weeks and months.
Right.
Weeks if you're lucky, you
Right.
know?
They were doing that then when our U.S. Postal Service can't even hardly pull that off now because
Yeah.
because of the dipshittery going on over there.
Ooh. Could we use AI to fix the U.S. Postal
If
Service?
you want to introduce AI to take away some jobs, man, please, whatever you do,
train
give
that
it,
on the USPS?
give it to the U.S. Postal Service, man. They need all the damn help they can get over there, man. Just saying, man. And honestly, I mean, no offense to people working in the postal community, but I've seen some of your employees. I've dealt with them. Okie dokie, man. We ain't quite
Yeah.
got a dozen yet.
There's good use cases for AI. There's bad use cases. As I told my son over the weekend, I saw the documentary Terminator. I know how this one ends.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there are if you don't want to do a good job in whatever line of work you're in, you're just upping the chances that you're gonna get replaced. Everybody go ask Angel Hernandez. Am I saying that right? Is that right?
Well, I know who Hernandez. I think you did. Who is Angel Hernandez?
I
Baseball
think he
player?
just retired. He was widely regarded as the most horrible umpire in Major League Baseball of our time.
Oh, I was about to say it just sounds like he plays outfield or something for somebody,
And
man.
if you want
Or
to, like
shortstop.
you can go on YouTube and just type in Angel Hernandez umpire.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, it's not that he makes bad calls. I mean, we're all human, okay?
Wait
But
a minute,
the
are
way-
we though?
the way that he doubles down and triples down in arguments with the players and the coaches when he makes a bad call. And of course, now we have the review process. Well, they'll just look at the video from 3 different angles, right?
Right.
And his strike zone, man, it was really bad. So the more that you kind of protest, the more likely, when you're wrong, the more likely. So he retired, right? Because, and coincidentally, he retired just as we're starting to implement more and more technology into the game of baseball, which is that's a whole other conversation in terms of how I feel about that. But, they're dialing in on that strike zone.
They are. And I've seen some questionable calls this year for sure. But it's been that way. But if you want to right that ship, you introduce some technology for that, and it's easily fixed.
So to bring this full circle, I don't think Walt Disney would just train AI on better movie making. He might. But Walt Disney was very much a Steve Jobs type in the sense that movies were the way of his era to communicate in the most advanced way possible from a storytelling perspective, right? We have better ways now. I don't know that he would necessarily just think about Steve Jobs. Like when it was time to discontinue a product, he never looked back.
Right.
It was we're not doing that anymore. It's done. It's gone.
Yep.
And on to the next thing, right?
Yep.
I don't remember if the iPod itself was discontinued while he was still around, but I know there have been plenty of examples that Apple just basically said, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. I mean, maybe the most famous one, they got rid of floppy drives, and they went, yeah, we don't do them. And then they got rid of DVD drives and went, don't need them. And Jobs was very much a forward-looking, forward-thinking person. And so I don't think it's fair in the same light to basically corner Walt Disney into, he would just use AI to make movies.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I'm with you. I think he would do a lot more with it for certain. He's that guy. He's an innovator. And I like the analogy of the Steve Jobs and Walt. I think you could put those guys in the same corner.
So there's a young lady by the name of Jenny Nicholson, and this has been all over the news, at least my news feed lately. She's a content creator. She's a fellow nerd, and she's very into sci-fi. And there was a hotel that Disney opened a couple years ago. It was a themed fantasy hotel. It was a Star Wars hotel.
Interesting.
Did you know about this?
No, man. Where's this at?
It's not there. They closed it. So it was open for about a year.
In Orlando?
It was in Orlando. It was on park property, and the whole concept was you go to space. You're in the Star Wars universe.
Okay.
So everybody's all the characters, the ship, the ship's captain. You're on a space cruise. It's a cruise. It's a 2-day cruise in space.
That's awesome.
There's no you look out the windows, you see stars, right? You're on a spaceship.
Yeah.
And there's alien races. There's a Twi'lek singing in the lounge.
Do you get transmitters and where you can talk to? I mean,
it's Star Wars.
Oh,
not
Star Wars,
Trek.
not Star Trek. Yes. Yeah,
although I've seen
that would be cool.
There's a hilarious T-shirt that says Star Wars #1 fan, and it has a picture of the Enterprise on it.
Oh, that's funny.
Just messing with people. So, and Jay, this video is 4 hours long.
Wow.
4 hours long. And she goes into why it failed. I think the title is the epic failure of Disney's Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser or something like that. And it is so well done that Disney themselves should take note. And I'm sure they have. And learn from her. They need to have her as an advisor. And she goes into you could be using technology to... you give me this app on my phone, and there's these pad communicators all over the ship, right? And it's you sleep on it. It was $6,000 for 2 nights. It's crazy expensive. It'll ask you like, questions, and it wants to see where your loyalty is. Do you side with the Republic? Do you side with the smugglers? Right? Like, are you a friend of the Empire? Right? Like, what's your? And she's like, you could be taking my answers, and all your cast members are wearing earpieces, using technology to basically run that through your algorithm and factor that into how certain characters speak to me. Am I a friend or a foe? Am I an ally or not? Can you trust me?
Right.
Right? Like, use the technology.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
The amazing thing about this whole Jenny Nicholson video, because you and I know this, to get a 4-hour video into the algorithm and have that algorithm. The New York Times has picked up the story. Everybody's talking about it and her. And friends of mine, I'm like, have you seen? And they're like, oh yeah, dude, I'm watching it now. And it's like, it's in all of our algorithms. This girl pulled off a 4-hour-long YouTube video, and she's gotten millions of views off of it.
That's crazy.
It is. So, I think, in closing, that she's right. Walt Disney himself would be using this technology to make your experience more futuristic.
Yeah.
With things like, well, if it wouldn't have closed and failed, the Galactic Star Cruiser experience. Jay, Go look up that thing if you haven't.
Okay.
It's fascinating.
I will. I'll have plenty of time when I'm flying this week. So
yeah.
There you go.
Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser.
On.
A former, well, Steve Jobs owned Disney stock, I guess. Apple being a close partner, Disney bought Pixar and all that, right?
That's right. Yep.
So Apple steps into the AI game officially of recent days. In a way only Apple can pull off, which is basically two things. Now, before I say this, I got to qualify this statement. And Jay knows if I'm lying, Jay, like, hold me accountable, okay?
Okay.
I have used Apple products for years. I carry an Apple certification. I owned a first generation iPhone. I've spent plenty of money in Apple's direction. Apple basically has just turned into a Me Too. Like their whole announcement for WWDC was basically stuff that you could do on Android phones a year ago.
Right. Exactly. It's really nothing new. And what's funny is this. Remember when this came out, it was the big talk on all of the major networks. And there was a reporter that was telling the story about, the features and stuff.
Right. I forgot. I'm glad you brought this up.
And she says, well, because somebody says, well, doesn't Android already have this technology? And she's like, yes, you're correct. But, Apple's one of those companies, they don't jump right in. They just kind of sit back and wait for it to happen. And I'm like, wrong answer.
That's
you
how
don't
they are
know
today.
Apple. Today. They were the leaders in this industry up until probably since Jobs has left, it's been very hard to find anything exciting.
I think the game has become, not to bash Apple, but the game has kind of become, let's keep the shareholders happy. Let's find what we can milk and milk it.
Right. Absolutely.
And the innovation just isn't there.
Nope.
So they're playing around with AI, as all these tech companies in Silicon Valley are. And their version of AI, Jay, you're going to be able to speak to this better than I am, but it's basically a more myopic, focused user experience, meaning they're not thinking about how to use AI in a year or 5 years. They're like, how's it going to help you on your text messages today, right?
Right, absolutely. And it's how they're going about doing this. But yeah, let's get into some of the features, and like you just said, how we're able to text. There's enhanced features with Siri. Siri's supposed to be 1,000 times better than what she is now, which I don't know that was Siri really that bad. I mean, I mean, hello, right?
I think it's limited, and this is true for all of them. I'm not just picking on Apple, but the Amazon's version, all of them are, you ask them things like, what's the definition of, and they might get that right if you give them a dictionary word, but you get into some of this stuff and they just stumble, like trying to get like ball game schedules, and it's really, really like, seemingly not that difficult. Right. But
right. This some of the features like the new ability. I mean, they can already transcribe, but So let me just say this: some of the functions are already there.
Mm-hmm.
They're just enhanced with this new AI-driven operating system to kind of it's to make your experience much better. Because Apple realizes that most people that own Apple products don't just stop with the phone. It's a whole ecosystem. So they realize that most everyone uses their phone for everything, but every once in a while you're hopping onto your iMac or your MacBook Pro or whatever, your iPad, and they want that device, that phone, to be right in your face all the time, even while using these other devices. So no matter what you do with this new operating system, you're going to be able to still utilize the phone or its functions through these other devices. Now, that's not to say that isn't happening some now already, because it is, like with the cloud keychain, to where you can text from your iMac if you get a text on your phone. Some of those things are not new to us, but it's supposed to be the AI interaction is supposed to make your job much easier. And I find it interesting how they're pitching their AI, though. And what's funny, too, though, is I saw it. It's like, well, that's creative, right? It's Apple intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. It's Apple. Whoa. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, blow my mind, man.
Right, right. Yeah.
But what I don't like is the fact that they're using their consumers they're playing long down the road with their artificial intelligence development.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using their consumers like crazy. So there's going to be some things on this new iOS that I personally do not want to participate in, man.
So, there's another aspect of this that we should probably mention. Apple has long touted privacy, and we've been at events in Las Vegas and you see like Apple basically just playing we're the most secure user experience platform on the planet game.
Mm-hmm.
And that may be true, and they're promising that with their AI, they're not going to use it in a way that, kind of like Adobe, who's been under fire the past week, because essentially Adobe requires everyone that uses their product to sign an agreement that allows Adobe to access your work.
Yep.
Now, if you're creative, so if you're an artist, if you're a video creator, because remember, they have Lightroom for photographers. Of course, Photoshop's one of their flagship products. They have video creation platforms now, too. They have social media content creation platforms. And so they got a lot of like flack on socials from, people tweeting back at them going, bro, what if I have an NDA and I work at like a ad agency and I'm working with a company and it's all confidential and private and I'm doing image work for Coca-Cola or whatever, and that can't get out.
Right.
And you're telling me you need to access it. Well, that's a breach. Like, I can't share this with anyone.
Right. Yeah, that's it. I didn't look at it in that perspective, man. That's from a business standpoint. I mean, and we all know what they went through with the integration with Outlook, right? That was a big deal.
Well, that's Microsoft, right? But
I'm talking about on an Apple product.
Oh, right. Yeah.
From a security standpoint.
So other AI companies are and OpenAI, who we'll get to in a minute, and Adobe and Microsoft, and all of them are basically they're telling you straight up when you agree to use that product, by giving you access to our product, we're going to take everything you do and we're going to target our machines on it and we're going to train them and learn from it.
Right. You know,
All
that's
of
exactly
it.
right.
If you
Yep.
send a naked picture of your cat up to the cloud, our AI is going to be all over that sucker and learn from it, right?
Yep. Absolutely, man.
And-
Some people going to be getting in trouble.
Right. And so Apple is saying we won't do that, and they do build the chips where they can do better machine learning and keep it on the localized device.
Right.
Right? Do you trust them? I mean, I don't.
I don't. I don't trust any of them, actually. I mean, let's face it. This is what Meta has been doing now forever, right? This is what Meta does. They basically take everything you own, everything.
Right.
Everything that you've ever put out there, and they have it. So that's the one thing that I think people must understand about artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, like so when they released ChatGPT, right, the first version of it,
Yeah, which is an open AI product, right?
right, and the information that it used to pull from until the next gen came out was only good up until about the year 2020 or 2021 or something like that, right? So
Right.
if you were to ask it a question that was relevant to 2024 in that version, it couldn't. It had nothing to pull from because it didn't exist. That's it. So it's only as good as the data that it ingests, what we put into it, right? But what you were talking about is the actual machine learning, and who does a better job at that? That's a question. So is it Apple or is it Microsoft? And is Apple wise going down this path by keeping it close to the vest? Doesn't that put them in a different light, though, from others? Because that's a problem for certain heavy hitters out there.
Maybe.
We'll
Maybe.
talk about that shortly.
So to answer that question, I must ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay, but I do feel like we're going to peel this onion back until we get to whatever's in the center. I don't know. But so Apple has been, and it's become public, touting a partnership with OpenAI, meaning they've been pursuing that. They're looking into it. They want to make it happen.
Right.
That's interesting. Before we get to that, I'm going to ask you this, Jay. So, your personal opinion. Do you view what Apple's doing as okay? So there are various forms of AI, right? There is the help me do my job better, which is kind of what we do.
Right.
You know, we go in and we put a script in and it cranks out like Alan, and we get to use Alan instead of like one of us, and it's entertaining, right? Or, there are various things like help me write we use it for show summary. So when we're done with the show, we'll dump the audio into AI and it'll spit out the transcript, right? There is a version of AI that I can look at as being kind of a portable calculator, like a scientific calculator. How many people after high school really remember trigonometry and calculus? And how many people actually need it? Right?
Right. Yeah.
And can you
Agreed.
just use your calculator for that once or twice you might need it in 10 years?
Right.
And so there's that version of AI. Like, how many people, we're not all script writers. We're not all, how many people actually need to be able to be that well-spoken that you can write a thesis and, or,
Right.
You're writing articles for an online publication or what have you, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's what Apple's trying to help people with here. It's better. It's performance focused. Now, there's some cool little emoji stuff and cool little things that they're doing that you can have fun with your friends and do all the cool little, like, make me look like I'm driving a race car or whatever. And that's great, right? But then you get into the, make this fake movie trailer with Tom Cruise, right? Which is the other side of AI. So my question to you is, do you think it's okay? Is this a calculator scenario, right? Like, is it okay that we're using AI like a calculator with trigonometry, or has it become the kind of thing where it's getting out of hand? And is Apple taking the right approach here?
I do think it's getting out of hand. I really do. And I don't know if this approach is the right approach or not. I don't have that answer. I know that some of the things that I read when this thing was released, it certainly made me reconsider being a consumer of Apple products.
Is there anything that you like as an example that you can point to?
The fact that they're monitoring everything I text, everything that I email, everything, every picture that I take, everything. And I mean, again, Meta's already doing that. We know that, right? And I have a big problem with that. So I think that there is a boundary and over the line stepping that may have gone on with this. And that's what bothers me the most. I think that yes, right now we're at a point in time where, I mean, look, the developers of AI, the recent people that have come out and said, hey, we need some police on this, guys.
Well, and some of those people were dismissed, right? Google,
absolutely,
ethics,
they were.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so, and again, it's not. I don't think that it's at this point nefariously being used, but not based on what I can tell, but maybe it is. I don't know. All I can say is that as a consumer or as a supplier of products to consumers, period, feedback is golden, right? That's the number one thing. You drive a car and you go buy a new car and everybody hates the new redesign because you took away all my buttons, man. Now I got this touchscreen. So then the next year they come out with a new design. Hey, we listened to what you guys had to say. We put more buttons back in and all this sort of stuff, right? That's kind of what this is, but overstepping in my opinion, because they're getting your opinion and your information without you even knowing that you're giving the damn opinion. You catch my drift? You're giving them information, and you just don't even realize it. And what you were saying about agreements, like with Adobe, with people who have NDAs. I mean, this is a harmful situation. This could definitely be a problem from a security standpoint for companies, man, period.
This is getting weird. You know why?
Why?
You know who agrees with you, Jay?
Who?
That guy right there.
Yeah.
That guy right there and you. Now, if you guys have your differences and maybe he's going about this for some underlying reasons that serve his own personal interests, but does the ends justify the means? Meaning, he has his own reasons for wanting to take a stance against Apple doing this. You have your reasons that you've pretty clearly laid out here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to stand together with Elon Musk?
I think that people need to listen to him. I think that he has a very now the way that he's approaching this is gonna be problematic, I think, for him.
Okay, so you're talking about his statement that he said, I'm going to ban all Apple devices from Tesla automobiles, I guess is where he was going. If OpenAI, which again, as a reminder, is the parent company of ChatGPT,
correct,
is integrated with Apple devices at the operating system level. That means if you build ChatGPT into iOS 27 or whatever version they're on,
this would be 18.
Okay, thanks. He's gonna block you from syncing your iPhone with his with the Teslas.
Right.
No Apple CarPlay.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that he gave, let me quickly pull this up on screen. This echoes. I'm gonna read what he said, Jay, and then I'm going to we're gonna break it down together. So.
Okay.
So as I bring it up on screen here, too many buttons, man. I need one of those like DJ wookie consoles. Okay, so
wiki.
Musk. You see, this is from Reuters. Basically, there's the headline, right? If you're not seeing what's on screen, go over and watch the video podcast. Musk warns that he will ban Apple devices if OpenAI is integrated at operating system level. And the quote from Elon is, "That is an unacceptable security violation."
Yep. Yeah.
Visitors will have to check their Apple devices at the door, where they will be stored in a Faraday cage. He won't even let them into his manufacturing facilities.
Right.
And Faraday cage, for those of you that don't know, basically is going to block. It's going to make any communication in and out of that phone, meaning whether it's cellular signal or Wi-Fi or whatever, it'll block that. Okay.
Those are heavily used in law enforcement investigations where they have to gather evidence, and that way nothing can ping to it whatsoever.
Right. And that's not really that extreme of a claim. For those of you that don't know, and I mentioned earlier in this program that I've had experience with Apple. I've been on the Apple campus. Now, I've not been on the new campus since they built the spaceship donut, but there was a very strong policy, Jay, that if you pulled your cell phone out and started taking pictures, security would show up in seconds and show you to the door.
Yeah.
They were very, very clear about, do not take pictures in here. Do not pull your cell phone out. Nobody's going to record anything.
Right.
You're on Apple. Like that's a long-standing policy in a lot of places, especially Silicon Valley. So he's not out of line there. It's the car thing that just, wow. But, okay, so you and I know from our other podcast that he has some other interests or reasons that he's maybe not being completely transparent about. He was involved with OpenAI as a company.
Correct.
And there's a little bit of bad blood there, I think.
Yeah, that was with what? Altman?
Yes.
The guy's name was Altman, yeah.
And the whole staff, like, there was this weird, like, dismissal, and then basically the company rallied because they loved Altman so much that they brought him back and kind of overturned the board's decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Elon was on the board.
Right.
So there's more to be told to that story than any of us know right now. But I know, I'm fairly sure. I won't say I know. I'll say I have a strong inclination to believe that Elon is just bitter over that situation.
Could very well be, for certain, or he knows things that we don't. Let's face it.
I'm sure he does, right?
He was a co-founder.
Yeah.
He was a co-founder, right? Maybe he knows what the capabilities of OpenAI are, and if integrated and paired to a device that has this, can it in fact get into the belly of what Tesla's Copilot software is all about, or not Copilot, but Autopilot software is?
Yep.
Is there AI on those vehicles that maybe Elon's afraid that it'll reveal it? And, maybe Teslas are machine learning you and you don't even know it as a consumer of their product, and he knows that. Could this open a can of worms for him? What I do know is this, is that in one of the quotes I found interesting is that he said, and I quote him, it's patently absurd that Apple isn't smart enough to make their own AI.
Yeah.
Yet it is somehow capable of ensuring that OpenAI will protect your security and privacy. And he said that on X,
that's Apple language, man. I mean,
that's
he's
Apple language.
Dangerously
Absolutely.
close to talking the way Apple talks. And as controversial as Elon Musk is, he's not wrong.
No, he's not.
Not wrong about that.
Nope. That is why, when we were talking about this particular episode and what was going down, the timing of this, the coincident damage, if you will, from these two juggernauts butting heads here,
right,
was absolutely perfect for this show today. And it certainly works together. And so this remains to be seen. Because, again, as you guys well know, that every year Apple comes out. They have what do you call it? The
Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC.
WWDC.
Not to be confused with
WWF or WWE.
WWDC. Yeah, what would Walt Disney do?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I saw that when I wrote that in. I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't know, man. All in all, what you have here is there is a reason that we are not aware of yet that he's so passionately saying and just putting the ultimatum out there.
I think
if
you're
this
right.
happens,
I think this next statement. What Apple is trying to now add to the narrative is, and this is Musk speaking, is when data leaves and goes to the secure private cloud, it's similarly taking the same user data anonymization and firewalling of that information to you. Apple really never sees that.
Yeah.
And that's what you pointed this out about Meta, Facebook, right? Like,
yeah.
For those of you that don't know, and this is several years ago, maybe even longer than that, people were pointing to the Facebook app on their mobile phones, listening in. And Facebook came out and said, "Oh no, it's not. It's just on the device. We're not sending anything back to the cloud to our servers. Nothing like that." And a group of intelligent people said, "Oh, really, bro? So you've got the entire world song library, every song in the universe on in your app on my phone? Like, how big is that?" And basically proved them wrong through science, right? Like, there's no way that you're not transmitting this stuff back and being able to get the results to identify it.
Mm-hmm.
And Facebook basically, Zuckerberg went in front of Congress and he was like, "Nah, we're not spying on our users."
Right. I mean, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that couldn't be happening because, we've had these conversations, Keith, before. We're not the only ones that experience this. But when you're physically on the same network of someone else in your household and, someone else in the household is shopping for Christmas stuff, right?
Yeah.
Christmas ornaments. And you're just doom scrolling. And all of a sudden you're getting these ads for Christmas ornaments. You cannot tell me that's not what they're doing, because they are doing that. And Zuckerberg, and you guys need to take this to the House, absolutely bold-facedly lied to the American people about what's going on at Meta, period. And they're still trying to go after him. This thing ain't over yet, but there's a lot of boundaries that have been overstepped here with that alone. And so, look, most of us are all everyday consumers that use the products, and you hope that what you're being told is truthful. But in some ways, the technology, because of how it operates, how it functions, how it has to function to operate in the way that you want it to, it has to step over boundaries that you don't know about. And they get away with it with that little agreement that you sign every single time you get an update, or when you buy a phone or a device of any sort. Are you going to read the 500 pages? Probably not, because you need a phone going like right now. I need to get back to my doom scrolling, man.
The modern, and they've started to do that now with the cookies. It's like, I don't have time. I accept. Just get me to my thing, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't do that though. I physically go in and look at and uncheck. It's just I do that every time. I don't need to be targeted for marketing. I'm not coming to you for any of that. I use my phone to, go out and do a little research, and that puts me at risk for privacy, big time. Yeah, that's it.
So
crazy, man.
Yeah, I mean. And you can make the argument, well, I'm not doing anything that I wouldn't want other people to know about. Yeah, that's not the point.
That's right. It's not the point.
I don't. how do I trust that they're not going to use what I give them maliciously?
Well, you think about this. I mean, do you think now that they have done this so long and we are so addicted to our devices that we have become that almost dystopian society in some sort of way already, and we just don't even see it?
The Matrix is becoming a reality.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I mean, we've got another topic of discussion that we're going to hit on today towards the end of the show, but I can tell you guys, man, that there's some weird stuff going on, and we're part of the information pool.
Weirder than Shrimp Jesus, Jay?
Weirder than Shrimp Jesus, dude.
So, for those of you that, I think it was the previous episode.
It was.
We talked about the viral imagery of Shrimp Jesus being just all AI generated and bizarre as could be. And some of these bizarre, it's been a while. I spent some time on trying to think of the platform. It was an AI image creation tool that I used to use a lot. I haven't used it in months. Midjourney.
Okay. Yeah.
So
in
Midjourney,
conjunction with
like Descript.
Descript, I think it was.
And so the thing about Descript, for those of you that don't know, that's a chat-based tool. Like you can make phone calls and no, it wasn't Descript.
Well,
it was.
Bring up our QR code real quick again.
Okay. How fast?
Yeah, just as an example of, you just plug in, if you've never used it, you just plug in what you want, what you're asking for, and it pukes out pretty much what you say. And that image right there was created by you plugging something in, something futuristic, and
yeah. It was an AI. It was a tool. But
the thing is it's taking our colors.
Yeah.
And utilizing our colors.
Oh, you're talking about the picture. Yeah, the logo. Yeah. I told it like I wanted a futuristic brain type, AI human hybrid. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I got. And I was like, well, this is weird,
well,
but
I mean,
cool.
our moonshot logo is same.
Yeah.
Same thing. Very cool. I mean, we just told
on the moon with the
two guys on the moon working on a car. Yeah. Two mechanics on the moon.
So, so anyway, when you use Midjourney, you're basically in a chat room, okay?
Yeah.
And you can see what other people are requesting, and you can see the image that gets spit back out to them. Now, there's a way to do it where you're in your own private room, you have to pay more for that and all that, and that's fine. I'm just saying, like, I would sit there and watch, and some of this stuff was amazing. And some of it was freaking weird, man. Y'all are some weird freaks out there, and you know it. Yep. And that's fine, man. To each their own, and you do you. But do you really want that stuff? I don't. I just, there's.
I know,
I don't
man.
need people to know what I'm into.
Right. I know it gets, and that's where we're at. It's so weird. I mean, it's almost like it's. It's like the whole concept of these fail videos, right? Like you just got this compilation of where people are, on their skateboard or on their bike, and they're wrecking and breaking bones and stuff. And we've gotten to that point in society to where people, there's a sick side to us that likes to see people fail, likes to see people hurting, and it's just the weirdest thing. It's almost as if we've gotten a little bit too out of touch with reality and consequences. I don't think people understand consequences anymore, man. I think that technology and artificial intelligence has kind of aided in that. It's almost as if you get it's almost as if it's a pass because everybody else is doing it, sort of a thing. It's so weird to me, man. There's no, it's like no one has any emotions. There's no real emotions anymore. And that's due in part to this technology, the ability to text people constantly, to have conversations without even physically having a conversation. It's just words back and forth. There's no emotion behind it.
Yeah.
And as part of Apple's new, iOS, there's supposedly the ability to show more emotion with your texting.
Well, I have a teenager.
Yeah.
And when they hang out, sometimes that is just them sitting on their phones, texting each other for 45 minutes.
Isn't that crazy?
That's hanging out.
Yeah. It's a different time.
Interpersonal, social kind of level, that's they're not. The dating thing is not as prominent.
Speaking of that, do you think because of technology, this is a good question for you, are we on the verge of a population deficit because of this?
That's interesting.
I mean, could we be becoming so so inactive with each other because we're always on the machine that we can't have personal relationships with people anymore.
Yeah.
And therefore you don't get married, you don't have kids, could that be where we're at? I mean, are we getting close to that? Is that a reality?
Sounds like the script for Idiocracy Part 2.
Well, there you
the
go.
movie, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I think that's some of the things that these developers, these tech companies have to be in the back of their minds thinking about it. But at the end of the day, I think that, they're looking at it's a revenue.
Yeah.
It's a revenue stream.
And I would say to that, it's disturbing the number of people that work and I'm just going to use Silicon Valley in the tech industry that are not in a relationship. They don't have time for it.
Right. Absolutely, man.
And their work is their life. And that's their choice. I'm not judging them for that. I'm just wondering if that doesn't feed into your theory of like a population decline.
Yeah.
Which may not be a bad thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I feel like we're going to have a good movie script out of this by the time we're done with this season.
Could be, man. Could be. We shall see, man.
So I managed to find the most viewed AI image on the internet. And it is not Shrimp Jesus, for those of you that thought it might be.
Yeah. This thing went absolutely
nuts, right?
Yeah.
You want to see it? Let me bring it up
show
on
it
the
up.
screen here.
There you go.
So it's the term "all eyes on Rafa," and there's a couple guys that are claiming that they created the image. It's supposed to be tense. The letters are white tense.
Yeah.
You got two different Malaysians claiming credit for the image, which was created by AI. Getting this off of NPR's news feed. Story's been shared. The graphic has been shared 50 million times on Instagram and other platforms. They think it started in the northern tip. If this isn't confusing, the northern tip of the Southeast Asian island of Borneo.
Right.
The
Borneo.
northeast tip of the southeast. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So here's where this goes, guys. So the gal that she supposedly created the first one. She actually put in there that it was an AI generated picture by her. And then 900 miles away, this other guy says that he created it, but it's almost identical in so many ways. And now this ties back into what I said about plagiarism, right? That artificial intelligence is only as good as the input that it's getting, right? And so if you've got a situation like this where all eyes on Rafa is like the search term, the keyword, if you will, the big thing, and of course, this is how these things blow up and become viral like they have. It is possible that, yeah, this dude may have created his own with AI, but maybe AI just took what she put out there and it kind of recreated what she'd already done because it's so identical.
Except that
Yep,
NPR
except.
tried an experiment where they used Microsoft's image generator, and
Yep.
how many times did they try here?
Right.
Did they?
Looks like-
dozens of attempts is the best they give us.
Yeah, and they never could recreate.
it spelled it wrong, and
Yeah.
and they showed these are the examples we're looking at, but that's just one image creation tool. That's Microsoft. You've got
Right.
ChatGPT, you've got Midjourney, you've got Adobe in the game now. Like, there's so many,
Right.
right? So who knows?
Yeah, and it's just, and again, there's no bad blood between these two people. In fact, the girl said that she obviously wasn't looking to make any money on it. That's why she said it was AI generated. But she didn't expect for someone to copy it, and it really does look like a really good copy, is what this guy has done. But again, I have to throw that out there. If he's saying it's AI generated, again, AI is only as good as the information we're plugging into it because it's learning. And could he just be a victim of AI generating this, copying that? It could be. He could be the victim.
Now, let's take this a step further.
Okay.
Let's say you put a product out there for free and it's a good product and the world needs it. I don't know what it is. Could be anything, and you use some sort of AI tool to create it and you give it to the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else has a version of that same item, product, whatever, and they're selling for it and they're charging for it, and it's selling like hotcakes, as the saying goes.
Right.
I mean, is that, if I go into CAD and I design a solution to a lug nut problem that, has been around for years, and I solve it and I give it to the world, to the automotive industry, and, I put it out there, and then somebody takes my CAD design and starts replicating it on a mill, or something, right? And is selling it. That defeats the purpose of what I had originally intended, which was to give it to the world, right?
Right. It does. Yeah. It does. No, I hear you. Of course, that happens every day in industry, especially in manufacturing, when
right.
That is why certain suppliers out there will, or manufacturers will have their manufacturers sign agreements that they cannot sell that for X number of years. It's almost a patent, if you will.
Yep.
I've personally have dealt with those situations where, and that not everybody abides by the rules, and especially when you're dealing internationally with manufacturers.
Right.
Good luck. I mean, that's exactly what I've been told many times. Well, good luck with that. You can hire some attorneys, but good luck with that.
Well,
internationally, you got to get through the CCCP first.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. So you're right. That stuff definitely happens. And again, I believe that that's probably what happened here. I think it's just one of those situations where it was copied and put out there. But that's so crazy though that thing went as viral as it went. That's an interesting photograph too, like you said, or interesting AI generated photo. And you kind of wonder, what she was plugging in to get exactly what she got. Where was it drawing from for it to be spot on with what you're kind of seeing over there in Rafa with the supply chain, with all that stuff getting to the people, man. But to have all of the lettering made out of tents, and then you see all of these containers and stuff just lined up perfectly. Now, I tried to kind of dissect his photo against her photo as well. And I tell you, dude, shadows, spacing, little spacing, columns, font size, font angles. Everything about it is identical to hers. It's a little enhanced on color and maybe a couple of other things, but I think those are just additions to it. Don't know.
Yeah, you can do reference images when you in some of the tools, like Adobe's one that I know fairly well, and you can use text, so words to an image, right? Meaning you type out what you want and then it creates that image, and then you can, like, I could go in, for example, and type, make me a picture of cargo containers sitting next to a shipping dock. With in the middle of the afternoon with the sun behind me, right? Casting shadows. And it'll do that, and then I could take an actual image and upload it as a reference. And I can tell the tool to use it as a style reference, meaning like if I shot it in kind of a like a vintage Lomo type camera or something, I can style reference it, or I can tell it to use it as a like concept reference, meaning mimic what's in the shot, right? Neither one of those is really going to do what you're talking about, which is you're not going to get the font, you're not going to get all that stuff to match.
Right.
You're not going to get the same
It's not going to be
words.
identical.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And again, that's what I say. Either it's stolen or it's just copied. It's
DB Cooper, where are you?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so unless we can somehow go back in time and be the first to create it, so are we one step closer to time travel, Jay?
I think we may be.
And by the end of season 2 of the AI Chronicles, will time travel exist?
That's a good question, but let me just say this. I think that, I think time travel is already possible.
Okay. Yeah. Am I going to have my mind blown here?
No. I just, if our goal is to travel in time, to go back in time, to go forward in time, and how long have we been doing this, trying to do this? Let's go back. Let's look at, the military's, the Philadelphia experience.
Okay. Yeah.
Experiment.
Right.
Did you see the movie, by the way?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah.
It's been a long time. It's a good movie, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, if you guys don't know what the Philadelphia experiment's all about, I'm sure that people our age will, because it came out in the 80s, and I think it was in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yep.
That was the guy, what is his name? He was Eddie and the Cruisers. He was Eddie.
Right. In the Eddie and the Cruisers movie.
Yes, he was Eddie in the
yeah.
Eddie and the Cruisers movie, yes.
Okay.
Wow,
way to obscure reference to a band, and even more obscure reference to an obscure movie about an obscure band, Jay.
Absolutely.
That I somehow recognized. I don't know.
Which also had similar mysterious things surrounding.
Oh, you mean how he died? How Eddie died?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or did he?
Or did he?
Right. Where's Elvis? Elvis is still alive, dude.
You think?
I think so, man. I saw him the other day on TV preaching.
Right. All right. So you think? Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's just my point, man. My point of this thing is when I started. Okay, so let's back up. Let's talk about what this is. So apparently, quantum physics now is through these experiments, they're able to send a particle into the past, right? They've
got a bunch of MIT. Just
time
so much of this was over my head. I was like,
yeah, mine too, man. But I had to dig deeper, and then everything I started reading about this thing, it kept pointing its finger back to, the military stuff back in the in the 40s, the Philadelphia experiment, stuff like that, which actually happened, man. They had a whistleblower on it. One of the people that actually participated in it, and says that he went ahead in time to 1983 and then came back. That's what the movie was all about. And they had some terrible things happen. And which, to no surprise, this is you're messing with stuff, man. I mean, when you're messing with time loops and stuff like that, it's a dangerous thing to be doing. But I think that time travel is probably already possible, dude. But we, in this time that we're physically in right now, don't know how to do it.
But wouldn't somebody come back and tell us if that were the case?
That's what's going on right here. Somebody has come back and told these people how to do this.
So now help me understand here. Isn't it more of a message in a bottle kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they sent a message through a closed time loop or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. And said, you can just do this, and this is how it works.
Okay, so hold on.
And this is all we're giving you.
Theoretically, and I know I'm going to catch hell for this, but I just can't help it. I cannot help it. Say that I had a sports almanac, and it predicted
awesome.
all of this era, and I wanted to send it back to somebody, let's say a younger version of myself.
Sounds like a good movie
I know,
script,
right?
man.
Yeah. I mean, all I would need to do is just
is there anybody
bet
named
on a couple
Biff?
games.
Is there anybody named Biff in this?
Don't leave it laying on the seat of your convertible. Lock the car, man.
That's right. That's right. And watch out for manure.
So yeah.
But no, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you really think that I mean, dude, there's some weird stuff happening in our current time right now. There's just way too many advancements going on.
What if it's AI? What if humans didn't send that message from the future?
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe it's a machine-learned future, you know? I mean, the dude, this screams Matrix. This is totally all that stuff. But so the way I understood it, so here's how they say it. It says advantage of simulated time travel, and it's simulated time travel. That's what the quantum experiment is. If the experimentalist teleports the optimal input state back in time via entanglement manipulation, the trio show that this could produce novel operational advantages. In their proposal, an experimentalist prepares a pair of maximally entangled quantum bits, or qubits, called A and C, plus an additional qubit as the probe. Okay? And remember what I said. They're talking about you have to have these three components in order to change a timeline, right? So if you want something to happen, according to them, the way this works, if you want something to happen in the future a specific way, you have to go back into the past to change it to make sure that happens. So let's say you're sending a gift to the future and it needs to be a right size and a right color in the future, right? And you got to send it out now, right? So you send it out now, but in that future, it's wrong. So you've got to go back in time to change it so that before they receive the gift in the future, it's actually correct.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That is what I saw, and I still don't understand it. But that is exactly what I saw.
Yeah. So, okay, you and I, big fans
of the paradox, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, you and I, big fans of Starship Discovery, right? Mm-hmm. Discovery. Great show. The time jumping that they did, especially in the last season, the finale.
Right.
There was one specific episode, and you remember, where she, the captain, and her number one, I forget what his name was. He was, do you remember his name?
Well, you're talking about the first officer in the last season.
The last season. Ears. Yes, the guy with the ears.
It was Callum.
I forget what his name was. Anyway, but remember when they got caught in that time jump?
Oh, the time bug episode.
The time bug episode. That one. So, and they had to be very careful when they interacted with people because they knew that it would change the outcome of the future. So whenever they travel back in time, they either had to stay away from them, not be seen, not talk to them, whatever, just do their thing and get out of there until they could figure out what was actually going on. This is the same thing. It's a very dangerous slope to be on, man, in my opinion. I don't know if I, and I think that's again, I don't know, man. I just call me a conspiracy theorist, if you will, to some degree, but I just do believe that there may already be that type of capability out there, and we're just not privy to that information, dude.
It's possible.
Oh, I know. Anything's possible.
I'm still waiting for people to prove Back to the Future wrong. So far, it all points
dude.
back to
Elvis.
Yeah, or Jim Morrison, or
Elvis knew
Eddie
something, man.
Eddie
Elvis knew
Cruisers.
something, man. He knew something.
Yeah.
He didn't die on the toilet, man.
Okay.
He's been living underground with all the lizard people.
Well, he's over 100 now, right?
Yeah. Yep. He might even be one of those pilots spreading out all those contrails to block out the sun.
This is not the conspiracy podcast, though.
No, it's not. I have to make fun. Just saying.
Yeah.
So is that? I mean, seriously. What are your thoughts on it?
This is going to be heavy. No pun intended.
And again, people, this is not happening in real life. This is happening within machine. This is machine learning. They haven't physically done it.
Right. Well, supposedly it's in a closed environment. Now, I'm gonna bring this all back around to artificial intelligence, and maybe we'll close with this, and I'll leave you guys with something to think about. So, in all of this, not just the quantum experiments that they're doing at this MIT lab, or the collider experiments that they're doing that people have said you're going to cause a black hole or whatever.
Right.
The AI, which I joke, we talk about the Terminator series and how we all know how that ends with Skynet, and right. And I feel like all of this falls under the umbrella of we are children learning to ride a bicycle. And the concept of that skill and the components, the wheels, the sprockets, the chain, all of that, we are barely grasping. And
right.
and we're basically acting and behaving like we're ready to go ride in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about like a young child that's just learning to ride a bicycle, and they really don't, like you're just focused on balance at that point. You're pedaling and balancing. And then maybe we get to the point where we learn to turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're not even thinking about traffic or other bicyclists or, your helmet or, maybe what to do, how to stop the bike, right? And I feel like that's how we are with AI. That's how we are with these quantum experiments is we know it's risky, but these companies like Apple and OpenAI and Adobe and on, and, this lab at MIT, they're like, don't worry, we got this. It's under control. Nothing bad's going to happen until it does, right? Because there's no real safety protocols in place. The FAA, the Airline Safety Administration that we have here in the United States, they didn't really have the safety rules that they have today until bad things happened. Planes crashed, and then they would do investigations and figure out why, and then they would adjust the rules if it was like, well, this could be a potential problem going forward for other planes, right?
Right.
But the risk that we have in terms of artificial intelligence is by the time we figure out it's a bad situation, it's too late, potentially.
Absolutely. Agree.
And that's where, we're not being cautious enough. I think that's my point.
And we were warned, Keith, by the developers of AI.
Yeah.
Guardrails.
And they were shown the door and said, you don't work here anymore, right?
Right, yeah.
So
you got to be worried, folks.
Yeah.
Got to be worried, folks. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say any of this will not still look in 10 years, man. I hope you and I are still podcasting in 10 years. I want to come back.
Well, it just end up being machine learning that has taken our place, you know?
That's true. We could just be like Alan, a generated robot.
I wouldn't want that, you know? That takes away part of the enjoyment.
Well, it's not reality.
I mean, if you're a musician, and you've done this, you stand up on stage in front of a live audience, there are aspects beyond just being able to play your part or sing your part.
Right.
Yes, that you practice that. Sometimes you practice that at home or in a vacuum or in a studio or with a band in your garage or whatever. And you get a certain number of reps and you get a certain capability and you can repeatedly and reliably perform that song over and over again. And most of the time you get it to a point where it's pretty good. Now you go do that in front of a room full of people or an arena or a theater, and they're all staring at you, and some of them have their phones out and taking pictures and all that. And your peers, everybody else in that band with you, knows your part, and they're listening to you when it's your turn. And that just changes everything, right?
Yep.
And it would be so much easier for me to go, pull out a synth and just, plug in my part and have it sample my sound and let it play that at the show, and I don't have to do a thing.
Right.
But I wouldn't enjoy that because part of that creativity is what happens in real time.
Absolutely it is.
The note doesn't come out the way you intended, but it's not necessarily what you do, it's what you do after something doesn't happen the way you expect.
Right.
And that's where the greats like Miles Davis were just amazing because you couldn't derail them. You could not derail Charlie Parker. As hard as you could try, he was just always on.
Yeah. Any jazz musician,
yeah,
I think you kind of almost have to in that genre.
I mean, Eddie Van Halen just showing up blasted out of his mind and was still so good that he could just always play his stuff.
Right. Yeah. God, miss that guy.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. Which, by the way, speaking of Eddie Van Halen, did you see Wolfgang's Behind the Music?
No. Is that on one of their new seasons? Okay, I'll check it out.
It's everything you want to know about what happened between his dad and he. He lays it all out there. It's
cool.
It is absolutely probably one of the most honest and behind the scene what actually happened with Ed through those years of his drinking and getting with the tongue cancer and that sort of stuff.
And this is on.
It's on Paramount Plus.
Paramount. Okay.
This is the new reboot.
They brought it back.
Of,
they're in like season 3 or whatever now.
Yeah, you have to watch it. I assumed you already had, but make sure you watch it. And I want to hear your. I want to hear you comment back to me. Just send me a text and say.
Well,
Dude.
I'll tell you what. We'll bring it up on the next episode of this show.
Okay.
And we'll discuss it because we're big fans. And
that's right.
I don't know. We can find a way to work that in. So, Jay, tell everybody before we go, how can they support not only this show, but us and our other endeavors?
It's real easy, guys. If you go over to partscounterguru.com, we've got several things you can do for us. First and foremost is you can find your favorite platform where we are on every single platform out there for podcasts. So wherever you get your podcast, go find us. And you want to subscribe to that. We appreciate comments. We appreciate the likes. All that stuff helps us. It supports the show. But better than that, if you want to own something, you can also buy some merch from us. We have several links on our website. We have links on our YouTube channel as well, which is youtube.com/PartsCounterGurus. Comment there, like us there, subscribe there. Also, we got a nice tab on our website, which is some of our brand partners, and it's called Show Specials. And they range anywhere from e-bikes to camping gear. What else do we have, man? Just like if you're into automotive stuff like ramps and trailers and
portable battery power stations.
Yes,
REI stuff. Orvis stuff. Yep. I'm trying to think outside the box here a little
Helinox.
bit. You can camping gear, Helinox. You can absolutely get our core first show car stuff, right? Like you got your code testers, code readers, tie down straps. Oh, there you go. You need you got a kayak you want to secure, you got a motorcycle you want to secure, you got a some
max tie downs
you need. Yeah, there you go.
I'll tell you what, guys.
All of this, you if there's discount codes, and there is for a lot of it, we post those codes for you to use.
Right, and I can tell you right now, Keith and I both have used a lot of tie down straps in our lifetime. I got to say, man, I think Max may be the best tie down I've seen out there on the market.
Yeah,
by far.
American company. Yeah.
Yep. Sure enough. So yeah,
any of that. PartsCounterGurus.com show specials tab.
That's it. So any of that helps us out, guys. And seriously, tell a friend, tell people. And, if there's something on this particular podcast or even the other podcast, there is you can comment on our website. Just shoot us a line, email us, and we will definitely consider anything you ask to hear. Obviously, Keith and I have our own set of standards and rules that we abide by, and we you can't ask us to do things that are against the law or might get someone in trouble.
Well, you can ask.
You can ask, but we're not going there. So
we might have a good look to get a load of this guy.
Yeah, let's keep it real and let's be honest with each other and let's be nice to people. Be nice, just be nice. Yeah. That's all I say.
There you go.
But yeah,
Jay, did you just summon Patrick Swayze?
I may have. Can we hear him? Do you have him?
Man, I don't know. I lost that one.
Did you really?
Well, you just did it. You don't need me to do it. You just did it for us, right?
Oh, just be nice.
There you go.
There you go.
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Well, how are we supposed to know when that is?
You won't. I'll let you know.
I love it. I love it, man. I miss that dude.
Yeah, he was great.
Patrick Swayze was a fantastic actor.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every role he played in, man. And they're bringing that early movie with him and Tom Cruise.
Red Dawn?
No, not Red Dawn. They're bringing it to theater. It's all about the boys, the outsiders.
Oh, yeah.
They're bringing it to
based
theater.
On the novel. Yeah.
Yeah, they're bringing it to theater. Like, I'm talking Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's happening, so keep your eye out for that. That was a great movie, man. I mean, you mentioned Red Dawn, too. That was a fantastic flick, too, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, that's guys, that movie itself is not far-fetched at all. Now, absolutely. So just be mindful of that. If you've never seen that, go watch it. It's definitely worth it. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon Prime. It might be on Netflix. I don't know. But somebody's running that, and you can either get it for free if you have a subscription, or you might have to have a rental fee of some sort. You're saying
my Blockbuster coupons won't work?
No, not anymore, man. They might in that one store in Oregon.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the only store left, right?
Yeah.
Have you been to that one?
No, man. It's in Bend, and I wanted to.
Yeah.
And the last time we were through there, it was like just 3-4 hours out of the way.
You know what we ought to do?
Go.
Yeah. Next time you're out here, dude, it's only maybe a 5 or 6 hour or maybe an 8 hour drive tops.
Yeah.
Just go down and hang out for a couple of days, go camping, and then come back and just hit the Blockbuster store, whatever.
Yeah. All right.
I know some people in the area down there. We might be able to
borrow their Blockbuster card.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, everybody. We have given you not only podcast in entertainment, but we now have given you some homework in the form of some video entertainment to go check out. There's been quite a bit of it if you think back through the show or play it back, from the Jenny Nicholson thing to the VH1 to the Behind the Music thing to Red Dawn and some of these more recent movies that Jay's dropped. So Philadelphia Experiment, all that.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go. Thank you guys as always for making us a part of your lives. For my pal Jay over there, that's 3 shows in a row, Jay.
You got it, dude.
I think I got it. Man. For my pal Jay over there, I'm Keith. See you guys on the next one.
Later, guys.